Now, let's kick off your financial future. Here's Josh Jalinski.
Oh man, we pulled a rare coup. We have JJ back for as long as Amanda will allow him. What are you doing today, JJ? You having any fun plans? I have to schlep my kids to baseball, and hopefully CJ can give my JJ the tips. Well, he took like a year off of baseball due to COVID, and I don't know if you know, but we're in the Little League World Champions homes. These kids are like insane at 9. You know, I go to these kids and it's like, for one, in Tom's River where we have Little League, they fast pitch the adults throw the pitches in T-ball. So that was like interesting part number one. So like if you're 5 and you're still batting from the tee, you're like a loser. So they quickly weed you out if you're playing with the tee and T-ball. No, I'm kidding. They are gracious to the kids who hit on the tee. But I was just shocked at my kids hitting pitches at 5 and 4.
Yeah.
But he missed a year, so he's 9. And man, it's a lot of work, as you know. Yeah. And then he's on travel soccer. They're all too many sports. Having 6 kids with all the sports, it's like I've turned into a chauffeur. So,
oh my gosh, yeah.
You have any fun plans?
You don't just hire an assistant to just help with that, a full-time Uber driver.
I do. I might. You know, I may. You know. I had an Uber.
Today, my
Go
son
ahead.
has 2 baseball games. Today, my son has 2 baseball games. They moved one of the games a little later, so I'm happy to and appreciate being on the second hour with you. And, you know, there's probably a number on YouTube that maybe you don't know if you're coming from my channel, but Josh, this YouTube is new, but Josh is not new to the scene of getting the word out, providing advice. He is up and down the East Coast on New York radio, but then nationwide on iHeartRadio, and phenomenal ratings. So it's an honor to be with Josh. Josh is here. I'm probably right about here. Josh, you're here. I used to be down here. Wasn't even on the screen. And I think when you first had me on, I might have been around 10,000, 12,000 subscribers.
No, JJ, you were at like 20. You were at like 2,200, 2,400. And I was like, this guy's amazing. And I actually discovered you when you were around 959, where I am now or something. But I had you on the show at about 2,500 because you just started to peak. And I'm like, man, nobody in the country knows this stuff like JJ, because I was researching the show for PPP and you went, you know, kind of viral. And a lot of the people in New York then had you on their stations. So it's funny, you know, news travels fast when you know what you're talking about. So it's interesting. Our podcast, I found out we are the 7th most listened to iHeart podcast behind Charlemagne the God. So my goal is to overtake him. That's my goal. So we're going to have an aggressive campaign. They told me this was all non-paid, organic. We were 7th. So folks, make me more listened to than Charlemagne the God. Go to the iHeartRadio app and download my show. Subscribe to The Financial Quarterback, because Charlemagne the God, for real. You know, wasn't that the guy that Joe Biden went on his station? But I'm not going to say what he uttered. So that's pretty. I'm in good company to just have you on, and that jacket is really nice. You've really come up in the world. You've gone from Brooks Brothers outlet to some custom clothier, and then you have some boutonniere on. Man, he really dialed up for us. Ernesto, you got to dress up nice. You got to see Ernesto's Instagram. He does these amazing pictures, JJ. So
we need to type it into the comments.
So follow him on Instagram, Ernesto Cullari, ERNESTO CULLARI. Somebody said I used to know Ernesto when his name was Ernie. I didn't know. They called you Ernie?
That was my nickname growing up, yeah. So anyone in church that we know together, or from grade school would definitely call me Ernie.
Yeah, but Ernesto was, I remember when you changed to Ernesto. It was cool. I'm like, if my name was Ernesto, I'd go by Ernesto. I wouldn't go by Ernie.
Yeah. I go by what my mom calls me. She calls me Ernesto now. So,
and I don't have, my real name is just Josh. It's not Joshua. Although I love the name Joshua biblically. I was named after my dad's best friend who died in Vietnam. His name was James O'Shaughnessy. My mother hated the name Jimmy. No offense to those named Jimmy. I love the name James. But they took the J from the James and the Osh from O'Shaughnessy, and that's how they got Josh.
Wow.
So phonetically, really my name should be Josh. But that would be kind of weird. So we're having fun, as much fun as a financial show could ever have. But I wanted to bring you back because there has been a new development. By the way, we're going to talk about retirement plans because, folks, there are so few deductions left. So we're going to go into retirement plans, SEPs, defined benefit plans, life insurance for dummies. Do you have a cigar in your mouth? Does he have is that a cigar?
We're gonna have fun.
Yeah, let's have fun. You're allowed to smoke a stogie on the financial quarter. So here's the thing: you could do it. Enjoy yourself. We got to have fun here.
That's right.
And that's also why my radio listeners can also find us on YouTube, so they can see. You got to smoke a stogie on the YouTube at 10 a.m.
On my channel.
People would enjoy that. I think the New Yorkers, you're a hit in New York. I mean, Robert and Philly, because I was also in Philly. So Robert of Philadelphia Salons, good for him. He said you saved his business. You saved a lot of businesses. I did as well. I mean, I remember, folks, when the world was ending, JJ, for no economic remuneration, and myself, by the way, people are like, oh, you're doing this for your health. I don't really make anything doing the radio show. We get benefit from listeners who then become clients, but we were doing 4 live hours every weekend on the 2 biggest AM talk radio stations, maybe the top 1 to 4, some ABC, WOR. We were going live. I'm off of ABC now, so we're just on WR and iHeart app. New ownership there. Thought, I don't know, pill pushers or something were better than my show. But they probably paid him more money, paid him money or something. But as it relates to the gig economy bill, I want to talk about the gig economy bill, but we did this for free. We were just like, it was like 2 guys on a street corner trying to give help to small businesses. And people would be like, why are you doing this? Do you remember, did you receive any venom? People would be like, why are you doing this? You're doing this for selfish reasons. Of course, we want to grow our businesses. But we really saw, I remember we had this talk. We were preaching. We were so excited about it. We were like, well, we are here because you, the small business owner, are going to save the American economy. And we were pleading with President Trump and Secretary Mnuchin to make it more available. And they did. And PPP really came through for the small business community. And folks, people badmouth PPP. I did not lay off workers because of PPP. And many people did not lay off workers because of PPP. Some did, and shame on them, but we didn't, in part due to you. So you saved a lot of jobs, JJ. And the beauty of PPP, folks, is you didn't need to rely on unemployment. It was to give a hand up, not a handout. When Kanye got PPP and everybody, gave him a hard time. Well, Kanye gave that PPP to his workers. It was a part of the stimulus. It's why the economy bounced back so quickly. And you want to talk about that before we go into some of the other issues?
Yeah, if you look at, I think if we are talking about ourselves a little, the initial videos that I was doing probably in the first 6 weeks, they were for my clients, and I really didn't have any thumbnails. I didn't do anything super sexy on it. And then I started doing thumbnails. I didn't really know what I was doing. But all to say, I think that that's probably what came through is I was just doing videos for my clients, and it was only because the information was coming out so quickly. And then from the perspective of not taking on new clients, for doing CPA work, it requires time, and I want to make sure that I'm able to provide the quality. That's why I haven't brought any.
No, thank you. Well, we have Greg who has a question. He's a Schedule C filer. He needs PPP info. Go ahead, Greg. You're on with Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, and JJ the CPA. Go ahead, Greg.
Yes, good morning. I just, I heard about the PPP today, and I'm a Schedule C filer, had no employees. And, I don't know if it's something I'd be eligible for, so maybe you can be a little primer on something like that.
Absolutely available for you. It's a Schedule C that would only be required for the self-employed. It's now based on line 7, which is gross income. So go to your Schedule C. It's either based on 19 or 20. You get the higher of. You apply at the bank. You don't provide any documentation. Of course, the SBA at some point will verify the information that you have provided. The Schedule C filer, it's based on line 7, as I indicated. Now, no more than 100,000 divided by 12 times 2.5 or 20,833 is what you qualify for. And all I mean is that it's a calculation. You go to line 7, whatever that figure is, divided by 12 times 2.5 is going to be your amount, but there is a cap. The cap is at the beginning of the calculation, which results in the cap at the ending, which is 20,833 for the self-employed gig worker. And then if the self-employed happens to have employees, then they get PPP in addition.
But that's if you paid yourself wages, though. If you're one of these small business owners where you make $100,000 and you show $20,000, you're going to get less, correct?
Well, that is correct for the S Corp owner, the C Corp owner. They have to pay themselves wages. But for the self-employed, in fact, I've got a couple of videos on it because there's banks that somehow are still confused, which is amazing to me that they would be. But nonetheless, for a Schedule C filer, they're actually not even allowed to pay themselves wages. If they chose to, the IRS said you're not going to even be able to deduct it. So the self-employed, I'm glad you brought that up, Josh, is that it's just based on line 7 and then wages to the employees. But for those that own an S Corp or a C Corp, you're absolutely right. It would only be based on the wages. And then for any employee, the beginning of the calculation for any employee is $100,000, so no more than $20,833 per person, if you will, that's going to get W-2 wages. The 1099 people that you're paying a 1099 to, that does not qualify as wages. Hey, if you don't mind, I want to throw in Richard, the CPA, had a question, and it is, I think, a question that a lot of people have going into this. So Richard is a Brooklyn CPA, as he says in his comment, has a dental practice, et cetera. No contact between health and death in the family. So my question is, can I apply for PPP-1 if my own CPA practice, 30% increase revenue 2020, needs a search?
So wait a second. Richard's a dentist and a CPA. Is that correct?
Well, I think 200 dental practice, et cetera.
No. I think I know this guy. He's been on before. I think he is a CPA who specializes in dental practices. Mm-hmm. I think that's what he's talking about. So, but he's
yes. And Richard's on JJ the CPA often, so we appreciate it. And basically, here's the bottom line. For PPP-1, it doesn't matter what the revenue is. However, you do have to certify that you're in financial dire straits, that your financial outlook is uncertain, that you need this money to keep going. That's either for PPP-1 or PPP-2. But there is no, well, if your revenue is up, you don't qualify. All I would say, though, is if your revenue's up, then you may not be able to meet the certification of indicating that you're in need of that. So that's the way I would go with that. And then
let's take a short break, and then we'll be back with more comments and questions. And we're going to talk about this gig worker bill and what it means. I don't know how much research you've done on it, JJ, but it seems alarming. It recently passed the House and could affect many industries that hire 1099s. So we'll talk about that and more. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
The preceding program was sponsored by the Jalinski Advisory Group. Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications, including 5-Star Wealth Manager, Advisory of the Year finalist by Senior Market Advisor, and top of the $1 Million Roundtable, are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Josh Jalinski or Wealth Quarterback LLC. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Wealth Quarterback website at www.jalinski.org. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification, or rebalancing do not assure or guarantee better performance and cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses. There are no guarantees that a portfolio employing these or any other strategy will outperform a portfolio that does not engage in such strategies. This broadcast should not be construed by any client or prospective client as a solicitation to effect or attempt to effect transactions in securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice. Due to various factors, including changing market conditions, the information discussed in this broadcast may no longer be reflective of current positions or recommendations. While information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, Josh Jalinski and Wealth Quarterback do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. The tax and estate planning information discussed is general in nature, is provided for informational purposes only, and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Listeners should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding their specific legal or tax situation. Advisory services offered through Wealth Quarterback LLC.